Welcome back to another episode of Rob Sports Center, man. As you can see by the title, we're going to be taking a look at Mr. Will Howard from Ohio State. So far I've covered Shador, I've covered Cam, I've covered Jackson Dart. Who else did I cover? Shador, Cam Ward, Jackson Dart, and I think now I'm be covering Will. So I'm gonna be going through and maybe covering probably the top 10 quarterbacks that's expected to come out the 2025 NFL draft. And as you can see from by the title of this video, this one specifically we're gonna be covering Mr. Will Howard, man. So we're gonna get straight into this. So on this play, man, there's a couple things going on. Obviously, this is Ohio. This is from the Ohio State versus Michigan game. You can see that on this play right here, Michigan was in a man coverage defense. You look at the safety at the top. He was like, as soon as the ball was snapped, he kind of more so backpedaled to get to the deep zones and try to stay over the top of everything to not allow nothing deep over the top of him. You look at the communication side. He was pointing at one of the defensive backs. I don't know if he was possibly telling them to get in a better position in terms of leverage to defend it. But what's the best thing to do against man-to-man coverage? We seen that with Jackson Dart when we did a film study on Jackson Dart, how he was eating a lot of that defense, and it was just simply a lot of crossing routes. It looks like Michigan got they only rushed 4 defenders up front. Obviously, if you're not the Philadelphia Eagles, and you can't really expect to just rush 4, especially in those gotta have it moments, and unless you just got some dogs, man, to get pressure to make it uncomfortable for him. Like he went back to a traditional drop back, but he was able to roll out, extend the play a little bit, allow for the guy to come across the field. And, he was able to hit him in motion. He hit the guy in a good position. The guy was able to catch, run, and, maximize on what he could get, but it was just kind of bad leverage on the defensive back's part. But, overall as a whole, that's a nice start to the game. Obviously, it was a third down conversion, so they kept the sticks moving. All right, so we got a red area possession right here. So, it's a few things going on this play. Once again, it looks like Michigan State is in a man-to-man coverage. Obviously, you've seen they sent the guy in motion. And when they sent the guy in motion, you had the defensive back follow him over in motion. I like that was a slot corner. Now, in this play right here, honestly, when it comes to man coverage, you have to use the term Urban Meyer's terminology, finding the fish, right? And the fish is a mismatch somewhere. So mismatches can be based off of several things. If you can get a tight end matched up on a linebacker, that's a mismatch. If you can somehow get a receiver matched up on a linebacker, that's a mismatch. If you can get a size matchup, like a tall receiver on a shorter receiver, especially in the red area, that can be considered a mismatch. So number 7 doesn't necessarily look like the fish within that secondary. So I don't necessarily like that one. I mean, even if you look at kind of how he played it, he played it in pretty good position. He didn't really give up. He didn't backpedal and give up any depth. He kind of played it. The receiver got to him, got physical with him, and disrupted the route. So that was good defense on his end. So what I'm looking at also is looking at the pocket, right? So it looks like Michigan rushed 4 guys once again. I always say this, and I think I'm gonna say that every time I say about using 4-man rushes. If you don't have the Philadelphia Eagles defensive line from this past season, you can't necessarily do that and think to be kind of successful with it. But when you look at Will Howard, he had time in the pocket. For me, I would have probably kind of preferred to go on this opposite side of the field. So even if you kind of look at the opposite side of the field, like he threw on the right, when you look at the left side, right, it's really one-on-one matchups on an island, right? Because the safeties are over there on the other side. So when you look at over here, you have an outside guy, you have an inside guy. So the inside guy at first I was like, that's where I probably would have wanted to go with the ball originally. But for whatever reason, he kind of engaged with the defensive back. So even the guy from the outside coming underneath probably could have been a better suit. And then you always have the option, being that he can be mobile to a degree, to roll out and try to see if you can get something there, or maybe even scramble the ball. But this was one of those key gotta have it moments. Red area, 3rd and 5, and you if you can get this conversion, you put your team in a good position to score points. But I mean, at the end of the day, you still come over with a field goal. But obviously, man, when you get to the red area, man, you want to come up with 7 opposed to just 3. So right here, we have another one of those situational possessions. I mean, you have Ohio State, who's 3rd and 9, and they're in the back of their own end zone, not necessarily where you want to be. And this is right here one of those examples of the play, the difference between good and great quarterbacks. And we always say certain things like decision making is one of the most important aspects. And I'm really understanding why it is, because, you know, making the right and wrong decision a lot of times, man, can be the deciding factor in games won and losses. So right here in this situation right here, man, you have Ohio State, like I said, that's 3rd and 9. And at the end of the day, you don't want to take a sack. Obviously, if you take a sack, that's 2 points and a lost possession for the other team, right? But you have to be aware of it, right? You look at this play right here. Let me see it again to see if Michigan gave them a 4-man rush. It looks like once again they gave him a 4-man rush. I mean, the pocket doesn't look like it was really collapsing that bad to have to make that rash of a decision. But I'm looking at the decision, right? So when you look at the corner, once again, the corner is in perfect position in terms of leverage wise, right? He's taking away the inside leverage and kind of forcing the receiver to have to go outside. But when you look at the situation, right, you got a receiver that's lined up pretty much outside the numbers. So when you think about that, how much room do you really have to work? You know, because you're dealing with the sideline. So when you're looking at the cornerback's perspective, he's playing in good leverage, patient, and is able to undercut and drive down and make a play on the ball, right? And and once again, it even goes to the cornerback to understand the situation. So he knows one thing, right? If I try to undercut this route and I don't get it, worst case scenario, it's a first down and maybe he's going out of bounds. So it might be a first down plus a few yards gain. But for the most part, there's not really a big risk. Now, a reward is if I undercut this and get an interception, that's possibly a pick six. But if not a pick six, it's putting my offense in prime real estate to go and put points on the board. So once again, from Will Howard's perspective, man, you got to understand the situation, right? If Michigan have not been having that much success offensively, right? If they haven't been having that much success, you don't want to give them any added leverage for them to get going and to get in rhythm. You throw this interception now, it's not returned for a touchdown, but guess what? Just off an interception alone, they're in the red area. And this play, and they eventually went on to score, but it's just decisions like this, man, you just can't make. Y'all are up 3-0. Now you're down 7-3 just because of a bad decision made. So I do like this first down conversion right here by Will Howard, man. I like that he showed pocket presence for one, but I like the footwork too for him to drop back, see that the defenders was kind of closing in on him, drop up, be able to step up and deliver a pass on the money. That was a nice rep by him, man. He showed good footwork there, and he showed, that he had the ability to, even when pressure was getting to him and he was able to have to try to make something happen, he was able to keep his eyes downfield and, get the ball to an open receiver. Once again, running those cross routes, which are what you would consider man beaters. So when breaking down film on quarterbacks, there's a few things that we kind of, few things that we look at. Obviously that's third down conversion. Obviously that's red area success. And obviously that's 2-minute drill, 4-minute drill, situational things right here. So I put this clip right here in. This was a touchdown to cap off of 2-minute drive a 2-minute offense that Will Howard and Ohio State was able to execute on going into the half. But, it just showed me his pocket presence, his cool demeanor in the pocket, and kind of just taking what the defense gave him. And I know a lot of times it sounds so simple, but a lot of times it really is just that simple, right? If a defense is playing us a certain type of way, we know its strengths and weaknesses to everything, right? So whatever the defense is playing us in, whether that be cover one, whether that be cover two, whether that be cover three, whether that be cover four. Like Michigan was running a lot of man cover, so obviously you have things that we call man beaters, like the crossing routes, and sometimes we just got favorable matchups. When you got a guy like Jeremiah Smith, that's just that good. I mean, there's not a lot of guys that can stick with him in one-on-one situations. And then for the most part, it looks like he's been having a very clean pocket to be able to sit back there and let these plays and let these routes develop. Now, you can say that was an offensive pass interference. Hey, that's neither here nor there for this video right here. Right here, this video is about us just kind of taking a look at Will Howard. And, I like the execution of the 2-minute offense and being able to put some points up on the board going into the half. And so this right here is one of those plays that you want to see your quarterback make. This is a third down. I get it. The interior lineman got pressure. He was able to kind of get through the middle with, little to no resistance. But at the same time, we got to understand one thing. Whenever you're well protected in a pocket it's easy to sit back there and to look like Tom Brady or Peyton Manning. You know what I mean? That's easy to do when you have the time. Now, when you're in situations where you don't, that's not always idealistic, where you don't have that time to just sit back there and you have to be a rash decision maker. I feel like that's kind of the bread and butter that separates, like I always say, that thin line between good and great. So once again, I would have loved to have seen him make that play right there, because that's a play that just has to be made. It's a third down. It's one of those gotta have it situations, and he kind of just let the ball get away from him right here. Now, once again, this is one of those situations where, you know, it's 3rd and 7. One of those gotta have it moments, tie ball game, 10-10. If anything, we're in the red area. So we cannot afford to lose points, meaning that I turn the ball over. Guess what? Now we don't even get a shot at 3, right? So let's just say, for instance, if this would have been an incomplete pass, whatever the case may be, right? Or if that would have been a pass that was complete, but it was just tackle shy, it gives you an opportunity to say, okay, well, maybe we go from 3rd and 7 to maybe 4th and 2 and 4th and 3, and we can go for it. Or we say, well, we just going to play. We're going to take what we can get, and we're going to take the 3 points. Now we go up 10-3, but it puts us in a good position. So guess what we do? We kick the field goal. We kick the ball off. Hopefully we can have them starting at the 20-yard line and, you know, off a kick yard or even a 30-yard line, and make them drive the length of the field and rely on our defense, opposed to me throwing an interception. And first, I was just kind of trying to see what was he looking at on this play. Like, I didn't really understand it. But when you look at it, from when you really kind of analyze it, he had a short window right there where he was open. Like, he had a short window, but he underthrew the ball. You know, when he threw the ball, the receiver was dropping back, kind of trying to look like he was trying to he was kind of anticipating it to kind of be more of a diving catch if you look at him, you know. And the thing that I was looking at, okay, what led to that? What led to the inaccuracy on that pass? So I'm looking at the pocket, but he has a clean pocket, right? There's no pressure there. There's no reason why that ball wasn't supposed to have been put on the money. And once again, it's a crucial turnover in those gotta have it moments. So far, what I've been seeing on his 3rd down conversion and kind of even his success in the red area, it hasn't been looking too good. It's been spurts, you know, with the 2-minute offense going into the half, but then coming out and making decisions like this, you just can't do. So I'm going to end it on that note. Spoiler alert, if you didn't know, Ohio State went on to lose that game by 3 points. Man, Ohio State as a whole did not play very well that game. I mean, they had 2 missed field goals. They made some crucial mistakes defensively later on that last drive that led to them allowing 3 points. So, you know, it just was a bad game. And then, like, even for Will Howard, coming out of that game, my first time kind of just watching, like, being able to really just dive into it and just kind of seeing that, you know, it was a lot of plays that was left on the table that could have been made, you know, on some key 3rd down conversions. Obviously, you know, turning the ball over in the red area, that's just things that you can't do. It takes away from points on the board. And, you know, and then depending on where you turn the ball over at as well, you know, it puts your defense in a compromising position. You know, you want to try to make the offense drive the length of the field, play after play, or drive after drive after drive, opposed to putting them in, you know, 20 yards out from the end zone or 10 yards out from the end zone. It's just things that you just can't do. But, you know, I look forward to doing some more evaluating some other games. Hopefully I see a little bit more from him than I seen in this game specifically. But, man, if you did enjoy this video, do me a big favor, man. Smash that thumbs up button. Also, if you're new to the channel or if you've been watching my videos and you haven't already, man, make sure you subscribe. And when you subscribe, make sure that notification bell is on. That way you'll be notified every time I drop. And I'll see y'all in the next video.